So again, anyone that's just saying this is the media, this is overblown, you got to stop that shit. You're part of the problem, right? There are people going out to bars and drinking. There's footage all over of like college kids going out to bars and drinking. Bars, you need to close. You know, it's crazy. And the thing is, again, for 80+% of us, it's no big deal. But I'm going to explain to you now, it's a really big deal. It's for 80+% of people infected, it's no big deal. For almost 90% of the population, this is a huge problem. Not a problem for me. I'm not afraid, right? Let's read some comments. Michelle, we aren't scared of coronavirus either. The rest of it, an economy terrified. Yes. Jackie, so many people think this is entirely political. I had to hang up on my mom when she suggested it. Yes, it's not entirely political, but I'm going to share some political stuff with you. Josh, yep, if they go this crazy over TP, then wait till food supplies run out. Yes, I'm thankful I'm a hunter and know how to defend. Yes. Lindsay, our stores are completely empty. Sam, please stay home unless you're actually having trouble breathing. Yes, respiratory problems. If you're not having respiratory problems, if you have the sniffles, stay home, okay? Lindsay, Long Beach, California. What else we got? Spreading like wildfire. Do you think that coronavirus becomes pandemic? Coronavirus is a pandemic, Mohammed. 100%. It's been a pandemic for weeks. The definition of a pandemic is just a new virus or new disease that impacts multiple countries. This has been a pandemic for a very long time. Jackie, boys have nasty coughs. We're just pushing liquids because that's all they have. Well, and your boys are also very, very young. It's all evidence that we have points to this not being a problem for them. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. John, Amanda and I each have one small bottle of pump hand sanitizer, and that's it. One extra bundle of TP. We have had more than enough to go around. Yes, the other thing is, what do you need hand sanitizer for if you're in your house? No living human being besides myself has been in my house for I don't even know how long. It's like I don't need Purell in my house right now. I don't need that in my house, right? And I don't plan on going out into public. So what do I care? Judy, can babies carry it and give it to an adult? I don't know. And this is still speculative. I'm going to share some information with you about one of the reasons. But Dr. Peter Attia had talked about it. There is speculation that they don't have the same binding receptors to carry it, but I don't know. I can't give you a clear answer on that, and I don't think anybody can. How do we protect ourselves if hubby still has to go to work? No. No, he doesn't have to go to work. He doesn't. This again, it's like, guys, this is a pandemic. The country is in a state of emergency. Your husband cannot get fired for not going to work. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know if he's in a situation like obviously medical staff and everything, like they're going to work, they need to go to work, all these things. We still need those people there, but I'm going to talk about protection here in a minute, things that we have found to work, but it's like, what are we doing? You know, U.S. military. Okay. Yes. Yeah. That's right. Stephanie, your husband's a military guy. Yeah. Well, hopefully I would hope that the military would be far more advanced with their information of how to prevent this thing than I would, but I am going to share some stuff that I found with you that has been shared with me from all sorts of different people. How do you feel about going for walks outside with friends? Yes, we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to dig into this now that we're talking about the masses. So masses, again, they're going to go a little bit crazy. The only scary scenario that I was afraid of, I'm actually not worried about this lockdown thing. Again, I think lockdown is coming. I think it will be at least 2 weeks, could be longer. So I think that could be announced as early as tonight, if not tomorrow. I think at least California, Boston, places like that will be in lockdown by tomorrow. So the only scary scenario with the masses that I was thinking about is if they close grocery stores, because you guys have to understand the people that are reliant on things like food stamps, they don't have the luxury of bulk buying. So if you have somebody who has like food stamps on a debit card or something, like in Nashville, there is a lot of really poor inner city. There's a lot of that in Nashville. People don't like this word. It's not politically correct, but there is a lot of quote unquote ghetto in Nashville. So what happens if you have a big population of people that are completely reliant on this money coming in, whether it's every week or whether it's every other week, where they're having a certain amount of dollars loaded onto a card that they use at a grocery store? These people cannot prepare for events like this in the same way that someone like I can. I hunt meat, I know local farmers, all of these things, right? So what happens if they just shut down grocery stores and say people can't leave their houses? Well, now you're going to have a whole lot of people that do not have enough food in their homes. And that is when really, really bad things start to happen. Okay. So that, as long as they keep essential businesses open, and just so you guys know, in France, this includes, again, pharmacies, grocery stores, medical facilities. I think there'll still be drive-through ATMs. In France and Italy, they even still have tobacco shops open, which is really interesting. Kerrigan, it's going to be really scary when tests become more available and we find out how many people actually have it. Oh yeah, I actually think that we have probably anywhere between 10 to 25 times more cases than we currently think that we have. I was told a baby was born with it. Can that be true? I have no idea. Tiffany, I have a nurse. I'm going to work too. Yeah, I am a nurse. I'm going to work too. Yeah. So obviously there are a lot of people that have to go to work. Yes. So I'm going to walk through a couple things with you right now. So I'm kind of ranting here. So let's dig into the rest of these notes. Now, there are a couple of people that you should follow here. One is Dr. Peter Attia. He's amazing. I've been talking to Rob Wolf behind the scenes, and he has a great community that he's been sharing a ton of stuff in. That's called the Healthy Rebellion. David Sinclair, while I disagree with David Sinclair on virtually everything he teaches for longevity, David Sinclair is one of the top longevity research scientists in the world. So guys, I don't study infectious diseases. Right? I don't know how to look at cells and diseases under a microscope. This is not me. I have been a drunk musician for 17 years. Okay. So understand this. All of those people out there that are saying that this is just the media and we have nothing to worry about, or this is just to impeach Trump, blah, 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 blah. These people are not fucking biologists. They've never studied infectious disease. They have no idea what they're talking about. So stop that. If you're one of those people, you got to knock that off. Okay. So David Sinclair put out a Twitter thread that I'm going to share some of these things with you right now. The biggest thing that concerns me here is it is very, very clear that high blood sugar is a very bad thing for COVID-19. People with high blood sugars are having tremendous problems. They are at a very high risk of complications that come along with the coronavirus. So diabetics and elderly are known to be the most susceptible right now, and they have now discovered that that is because of very high blood sugar. High blood sugar is very, very bad with coronavirus, okay? Now, blood sugars generally, they say that blood sugars generally rise as you age, but in my opinion, that's just because we've been on a Western diet for so long. I don't think that your blood sugars should naturally age unless you've had a non-species appropriate diet for a good portion of your life. So long story short, having low blood sugars is extremely important here. Clovis people, this is wonderful news for you. So it's become very clear that the measure of this that directly correlates with much higher risk of complications seems to be HbA1c. This is hemoglobin A1c. So Sinclair, it's really funny because he's like, oh, everyone needs to eat healthy for the next 2 years. Well, duh, you know, he's got his entire longevity book that doesn't even talk about eating healthy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so here's the scary part. As I said in the AMA, we now know that high blood glucose levels are a real problem for COVID-19. And what I said in the AMA was we live in a society where 88% of Americans are living with some form of insulin resistance, some level of severity of insulin resistance, which virtually guarantees high corresponding HbA1c levels, okay? So HbA1c is also known as glycated hemoglobin. This is going to get a little bit nerdy here, but the test gives us a calculated idea of average blood glucose levels over the last 8 to 12 weeks, because that's how long red blood cells survive for. So when your body processes sugar, glucose in the bloodstream actually attaches to hemoglobin. These are hemoglobin proteins, right? And the amount of glucose that attaches to those hemoglobin proteins is directly proportional to the amount of sugar in your system at that time. So this is how this works. We measure the glycated, this means glucose has attached to the protein. It's now a glycated protein. So we measure glycated hemoglobin, and that is what gives you your average blood glucose over the last 8 to 12 weeks. You want your HbA1c number to be below 5.6. You absolutely want this number to be below 5.6 to be considered even in the normal range and the lower risk range. So understand that high blood sugar is a real problem here. If you think you're going to go out and buy a bunch of non-perishable foods and eat nothing but pizza and pop-tarts for the next couple of weeks while you're on lockdown, this is really not a good idea. Don't do that, okay? I know there's a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to read some of those here in a second, but I really, really wanted to get you guys to understand this hemoglobin A1c thing. So HbA1c, very important marker. If you're a diabetic, type 1 diabetic, type 2 diabetic, and you've been on the fence about doing something like Clovis or trying something like carnivore or doing something to lower your blood sugar levels, you need to get on that shit right now, okay? Absolutely do this. I'm not saying it cures it. I'm not saying it will protect you from not getting it. None of us have innate immunity. There is no innate immunity for coronavirus. Understand that. Zero innate immunity. We will probably all get it at some point. The same way that all of us in our lifetimes have had a cold and a flu. Remember, this is one of 5. This is the 5th coronavirus. We've had coronavirus for a very, very long time in different ways, okay? Now, the other thing I want to be very clear about here, this is super important. I came across this and was like, oh shit. understand that while I say, like, I'm 33 and ridiculously metabolically healthy, so I'm not afraid of this thing from a health risk perspective. Now, there is data coming out of Germany and France, and these are intensive care unit physicians. They are saying that they have found a common thread between young people with coronavirus who need to be admitted to the ICU because their symptoms have gotten so severe. Things have gotten so severe in these young people that they get committed to the ICU, okay? So understand that. The common thread they have found is all of these people were using heavy daily doses of NSAIDs to treat their symptoms of fever, cold, cough, flu. Guys, I hate NSAIDs. These are non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, right? They're awful. Aleve, Advil, Tylenol, ibuprofen, all these things. Do not take them. I have been telling you since like the first day of Clovis that I absolutely hate NSAIDs. And now we see very clearly that there is this correlation in the ICU of young people who shouldn't be at risk of of complications from COVID-19 that are being admitted to the ICU, and they're all taking these NSAIDs to treat their symptoms. So we have a real problem here, guys. The real problem is most of America, most of the world doesn't know how to be healthy. They don't. That's why you needed Clovis. That's why you need me to do this podcast and everything, because most people don't know how to be healthy. I have a headache, NSAIDs. I have a fever, NSAIDs. I have body aches, NSAIDs, right? They're just taking these pills, popping these pills, and they're shown to be horrible. Do not take them right now, okay? Same thing goes for like Jackie, if you're thinking about your little ones, right? If someone has a cold or has a cough or has a flu, everybody reaches for these fucking ridiculous pills. Don't do it, okay? So let me see here, and then I'm going to dig into some speculatory stuff, and I'm going to give you some direct dosing, actually. And again, I am not claiming that this cures anything. I'm not claiming it even prevents anything. I have no idea. I'm just sharing the information that I have.